you will notice that on my screen I have a PowerPoint, or not a PowerPoint, but a Adobe PDF file. I'm just going to break down a couple things for you on what we're going to talk about today. So if you can see the screen here, you'll notice that I have an image of the software program, and you'll notice that there's some boxes around it, and these are color boxes. Each color represents something different. And I will make this PDF file that I'm showing you available along with the recorded version of this webinar, and it'll be available within the next 24 hours or so on the club. So don't worry about trying to write down notes or follow along with this, writing things down. We'll make this available to you. One other thing that I forgot to mention before we got started is that our weather is exceptionally bad today here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We got some serious storms going. So I wanted to let you know that, because whenever there's storms, sometimes internet connection, sometimes we lose it. So if something should happen, it would be out of our control, but if the internet goes down, we will definitely lose connection. So just wanted to let everyone know. So don't be shocked if something cuts in and out from time to time, or if we lose you altogether, but the storms are pretty severe today. So just wanted to make sure of that. So on this PDF file, you have what I have listed here is 5 things. These 5 things are basically the different ways that people can use the software. So the first thing is I have it in purple as everyone. These are tools in the software that everyone will use that pertain to all the different types of things you do with the software. Anything listed in purple are the most important, most used features. And you'll see here that in this purple box, that is like a new file opening, saving, your zoom tools, selection tools. The next set of icons in the software pertain to the person who likes to do personalization. So if you're someone who wants to add text to a design, you want to personalize a GIF that you're creating for somebody, you take a design and add text to it. These are going to be the tools that you would use to do the personalization. You can see up here in the orange, we have our text tool, Monogram Tool. We also have your import TrueType Text, and also our name drop tool up here in the upper right hand corner. The second group of icons are for the embellisher. Now the embellisher is the person who likes to take a design and add some flair to it, add something to it to make it unique and different, to kind of pretty it up, to make it their own. And so this is those features that allow you to add flair to a design, to embellish it a little bit, an existing design. And so we'll go over those tools as well. And the fourth set is for the person who likes to do editing and manipulating of designs. And this is indicated in red, so everything you see here in red pertains to editing designs. And a lot of the icons have to do with editing, as you will see. Probably the creation and editing are probably the most popular ones there. So we'll go over those tools and what you would use to edit or manipulate designs. And the fifth set of icons listed in blue have to do with the person who's going to be creating a design, creating something from scratch, making something their own. That'll be the tools for the creator. And I just wanted to show you this. I kind of took some time to draw it up and to kind of color code the different icons. And so hopefully you'll take time and download this and print it out, because what I was going to say at the beginning with this too is that it's good to know what tools allow you to do personalization or embellishing or editing or creating. And so when you break it down like this and you're going to start a project and you say, okay, I'm going to start with a design, a particular design, and I want to add something to it. And so you decide, I want to add some design around it, some flair. Well, you would focus on the embellisher tools. Or let's say you take a design and you say, I want to add personalization to it. This will help you focus directly in on those personalization tools, the things that you would use to do that. Or if you want to edit a design and make it your own, make it different, you would focus on the tools that allow you to edit. So hopefully this will help you as you get doing projects in the software. It'll help you kind of hone in on what tools you should be using and what tools will allow you to do different things. So now that I've kind of showed you this screen, I'm going to scroll down, and one of the things that I did is I also took it a step further, and the tools for everyone I've listed here in the software. So I've done the tools for everyone. These are like probably the most important ones that you want to get started with. You can kind of think of this guide as well as if you're trying to learn the software, focus on the things that are for everyone first, get a feel for how to use them. Then start by personalizing some designs, adding some text and stuff to it. After you get comfortable doing these, move on to embellishing some designs and adding some of the more decorative elements that the software allows you to do. After you get done getting comfortable with embellishing, then you might want to go in and start learning how to edit designs and manipulate them. And so then you can focus on those. And then finally, after you get really comfortable with the software and how designs are created and structured and how to move them around, how to change things, then you can start kind of focusing on creating your own. So at the same time, I tried to lay this out in a way that would allow you to learn the software the best and take it as a gradual step. So if you focus on things in this order, it will really help you get more proficient with the software very fast. So we're going to talk about tools for everyone, the tools that everybody will use. And so to do this, we're going to start right here. I'm going to bring the software in, just bring it up here on the screen, and I am going to, let me go ahead and delete this right here. I'm going to load a design in here, and just to help us kind of go over this. So some of the things that you will be focusing on is selecting objects, creating a new design, opening a design, saving a design, focusing on the print preview and what it allows you to do, understanding where the properties are and preferences, zooming in and out of designs, accessing the Floriani Club, using the magnifying tool, the ruler, 3D view, the grid, loading a hoop into the software, and selecting a hoop, a different one, changing a background color of the software so that it's not white but a different color, and also focusing on the browser, library, and designs. So those are some of the things. We won't touch on every single one of them, but we will touch on most of them. So, and then you also have your properties box, which allows you to change any of the properties for an object that is selected. We'll talk a little bit about the sequence view and how that is arranged, and also your design colors used in your design and your thread palette. So these are the most common things that everyone will utilize at some point, and the more you can get comfortable with them, the better, because everything else kind of plays off of these. So we bring that software back up again. And I'm going to start by going over here on the right hand side of the screen. You can see if I hover over browser, it brings up this box. And in this box, basically what it allows me to do is access anything on my computer. So I can access my libraries folder, I can access my C drive, anything that I want to, and I can go in and locate an area where designs are. I would have to know where those are, but I can go in and access those. So It's just one of the things that you can do with it. I like to go right into the libraries folder though, which is the second one down. And just to let you know, the libraries folder basically is the folder where we install all your free monthly designs into. And if you ever want to access that, what you do is you go to your Windows Explorer and you go to your C drive, your Floriani folder, and designs. So it's your, if you look up here at the top, it's your C drive, Floriani designs. And mine will be different than yours because I've added folders into this designs folder, and I've put a lot of my own designs and different things in it. But if you've installed the free monthly designs, you will see a folder called free monthly designs right here. You'll just double click on that and you can access those files. But you'll also see that right here in the libraries. If I go to libraries, free monthly designs, this is actually pulling it from that same location. But I just wanted to show you that on your computer where it was as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and select one of the designs that we received this month in July. So I'm going to come to free monthly designs, and you might have to click the little plus symbol and click the plus symbol for July and click on July 2015. Now what you're doing is you're telling software, I want to look at the designs in this folder. And so since you have it selected, now you can come over to your designs tab on the computer, select it, and now you can scroll through them. And this shows you a really large icon for the designs, which is very nice. In the previous software that we sold, the FTCP, these icons were much smaller. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the school bus. And when I select it, I can just left mouse click and drag it right onto the screen. And when I release my mouse click, it will load that design. And so you can see that it brought the design in, it made it as large as it can be on the screen. And first thing I'm going to do is I want to look at this design. It looks good right here, but I want to see what the stitches look like. When you're in this two-dimensional look, you don't know what kind of textures and different things have been applied to a design. So if you click on your 3D icon, which is right over here, that puts it into a realistic view. So I'm going to left click on that. You can see that you would never have guessed that this pattern had this this little like almost chevron-like pattern to it if you were in this two-dimensional view. So I'm going to click on 3D so you can see that. Now I'm using my selection tool right here. I'm going to left mouse click on this design. And I want you to notice that whenever you bring a design in from the library, it brings the design in all grouped together, meaning that I click on one thing and it selects everything in the design. And you can see over here, this is my sequence view. When I click off of everything, nothing's highlighted. I click on one thing, everything is highlighted. And so if I want to change something, the first thing I need to do is ungroup this design. So that's going to be the first thing that I do is I'm going to click on this ungroup tool up at the top, and I'm going to click off of the design. And now when I click on an object, like let's click on this little fill pattern right here, you can see it selects the entire fill pattern, but it's only selecting that one fill pattern. This fill pattern is this entire shape right here with a couple holes in it. And the neat thing is that with the software, whenever you select something, your properties box will display everything that you can do with that selected object. So if I wanted to know what fill pattern was used, I wanted to apply that into something else, all I have to do is select it, and it's going to tell me that in the pattern it used cornrow, and the cornrow is what gives it that zigzag fill pattern. So it's a really nice thing that you can do. If I select on, so let's go back and select this fill, you can see I can see what underlay is used. and what other settings are used as well, like a tie-in and tie-off stitch. You can even see what density was used in the design. If I go all the way over to transform, you will see what size it is, and you can see that right now it's showing it in millimeters. All I have to do is click on inches right here, and it will show me that that object right there is 3.76 inches by 1.68 inches. So you can see the size of it as well. So that's what's nice about with the software and the properties box. This is where you change everything in the design, but you'll see when I click on this fill, you can see it says fill type standard, and you can see the properties for it. Now, let me find a running stitch and click on a running stitch. It might be kind of harder to see. Let me go down to this black color in my sequence view. Sometimes it's a lot easier to select from here. So let's go ahead and just click on one of these. You can see, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to move this. So I just moved it out of the way so you could kind of see what I'm working with, this run stitch right here. You can see that the properties box changed. Now all of a sudden I only have 3 tabs up at the top. So the nice thing with the software is it does allow you to only see what you can change in the design inside of this properties box. And I also do have some satin stitches in here, so I'm going to click on one of these satin stitches, and you can see that it changes in the properties once again for a satin stitch. Just wanted to show you that really quick on selecting designs and how the properties box works. Now what we're going to do is show you the other way you can select something. So sometimes you want to get, let's say you wanted to select just these windows right here. Well, sometimes it can be difficult. You have to click on one, hold down Control, click on another one. There's different times where this lasso tool, selection tool, comes in really handy. And so I've selected it, and what you do with the lasso tool is you just draw a box around all the things that you want to be selected. And when you get to the end, you right mouse click and it selects everything that you've drawn a box around. And that makes it quick and easy to select all that. I could go in and I could change some of the properties of it. The lasso select tool is another great selection tool. So the other things that you will do often in the software, especially when you get started, is changing colors in the design. And you can see in this bus that it has these tires, and the tires are utilizing, let's see, old silver 413. As I hover over this color, and you can see in the properties box here, or the sequence view, it says 413 old silver. Let's say that you wanted to change those to a charcoal color. You want it to be a more dark color. First thing that you do need to realize about how colors work in the software is that on the bottom row you have your color palette, and this color palette is based off of what thread chart you have selected. So if I come over here to this icon in the bottom right hand corner, that's where you select a thread chart. If I left click on it, you can see that I have Floriani polyester selected. If I wanted to change that to a different thread chart, I would just select one of those, but I'm going to keep it on that. But once I have that thread chart selected, it's going to display all the colors for that thread chart. Now the designs colors, this is above the thread chart, and what this does is actually show you the colors that are used in the design. So anything that's in here that you're using is displayed right here, and this is a very handy tool. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on one of these tires. You can see in my sequence view that I can actually come over here and click on this sequence right here, and it contains both tires. So I have them both selected at the same time, as opposed to selecting one, change the color, and then doing it again. So let's say that I do want a more charcoal color. And let's say that I want color 488. I could come in here and I could scroll and I could put my mouse over each color and I could eventually find color 488, or I can go to this search box right here and type in 488 and it will take me right to that color, and it's highlighted it with this little black box. So I'm going to left click on that to change the color to a more charcoal color, and I think I like that color a little bit better. So that's how simple it is to change colors using the software. And once you get a design kind of how you want it, it's always a good practice to do a print preview. So you can see what's all included in the design. And the icon is located up at the top where it says print preview. And you can see that when I brought this up, it actually showed 2 pages at one time. That's because I hit this little toggle button, this green toggle button that says 1, 2, see exactly what it says, toggle 1/2 pages display. I can click on that and it will go to where it just shows 1 page, and I get this arrow that I can flip over to the next page and I can go back. I like to see both pages at the same time, so I click on that icon. Now, a couple other things to point out. This is showing a color sequence. The first color it's going to show is this 544 yellow, and then this pumpkin 534, and then yellow again, and you can see the whole color sequence and you get a good preview of it. But let's say that you like to print out these sheets, but you only want it to be on 1 page as opposed to 2. All you need to do is simply go up to your settings button, click on it, and you'll see print in 1 page as an option here. I'm going to go ahead and select that. The other thing that I recommend is when you're working with a very, very large design that has a lot of color changes, is to click on this one called Design Colors. And what that'll do is it'll put colors that are actually used in the design up here. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to, you'll see here, it brought it into 1 page. Everything is on the same page. And right here, you'll see that it actually lists the colors used in the design. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors used, but you'll notice over here down at the bottom in my color sequence that it shows 8 colors. So why is that? Well, the reason that you see 7 up here and 8 down here is because this color 544 shows up in color sequence 1 and 3. So what it does for the design colors up at the top is it only shows you what colors you actually need to create your design. So like I said, you could have 40 some different color sequences here, but maybe there's only 10 colors. So what this would do is it will only display those 10 colors so that you don't have to go through and figure out, oh, did I already grab that one or not? It's just a really handy little tool. So other things, I can come in here and you can see that I have crosshairs in this design. I can choose to thicken them up if I'd like and hit OK. And it will actually make them a little bit thicker. This is great if you use template tearaway to help you line up designs. Having that thicker crosshair just shows up better on that paper. So once I get it kind of set up how I want, I print it out. Next thing you're doing, you're getting ready to stitch the design out. So one of the things that we always recommend is that you run the design through what we call Save to Sew. And Save to Sew will help you get your design ready for the fabric you're stitching on. But just as important, if not more important, it's going to tell you exactly what stabilizer to use for your design according to the fabric you're going to stitch it on. So we have our Save to Sew icon up here. I'm going to click on it. Now I loaded this design in. I didn't digitize it. I just brought it in. You can see that I have a lot of different fabric choices, but since this is a design that I didn't create myself, I'm going to pick a fabric. I'm just going to use this Batiste and say I didn't digitize. And I'm going to make sure that I'm hooping the design. I'm going to go to next. In here I can change some things. I'm going to have it change density, underlay, and compensation. I won't go into much detail about that. I'm just going to keep the default settings here. When I go to next, this is where the software is so incredible, is that it's going to now tell you exactly how to properly stabilize your fabric for this design. And that's where most of the challenges come in when you're doing embroidery, is when you don't choose the right stabilizer for the fabric and the design. So I highly recommend you take time to focus on the stabilizer suggestions when you're getting ready to do a design, because the outcome that you will get, it will be far better if you use the right stabilizer. So I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. I can print this off if I'd like, but you can see in this one it says fuse Floriani stitch and wash to the back, fusible to the back of the fabric, hoop it, and use heat and gone or water soluble topping. And it also tells me to use the size 11 or 14 needle. I can go and view, copy the URL and go to the website so that I can see more about that product. It's just a very helpful tool that we have. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish now, and I'm not going to save this, hit cancel there. But one thing to point out is that I'm stitching this onto Batiste, and after running it through Save to Sew, I'm at about 9,736 stitches. Let me go ahead and hit undo so you can see what it was at before I ran it through Save to Sew. So when I hit undo, you can see it was at 11,772 stitches. Now, something to point out with that, 9,736 stitches, it has less stitches after Save to Sew, and the reason it does is because I'm putting it onto a woven, kind of the Batiste fabric, and so it doesn't need as much underlay, it doesn't need as much density, and so that's why it has less stitches in it. Sometimes if it was digitized for Batiste and you were running it onto a knit, you could see it would actually have more stitches in the design. It's all based on what type of fabric you're using. So sometimes it might go down, sometimes it might go up. So I just wanted to point that out really quick. Though the tools that I just showed you are the most basic ones that everybody will use. The one that I didn't click on was this hoop button, and I'll go ahead and click on that right now. You can bring your hoop in and it will show you what the hoop looks like at its size. You can also select a different hoop. So when you're getting ready to stitch your design out, you'll want to go ahead and pick the hoop that you want. It's all based off of the format. So if you're working with like a Brother or Baby Lock, you would choose the PES format, and you can select from the different hoop sizes. And once you have the one that you want, you just hit OK. So if I knew I was going to use the one that's 100 by 100, hit OK. You can see that that one's up there. If I didn't have that one, let's say I had the 130 by 180, hit OK. You're going to see that that hoop shows up there at the different size. So it's very simple to preview the hoop with the design, make sure it's going to fit inside your hoop, and that's just using the hoop icon and the select hoop button to make sure you select the proper hoop for your machine. So those are the most basic things that everyone will use. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shift over to the personalization tools. These are the tools that you would use to create text, add text to a design, or do some name drops, do some monogramming. And I want to show you really quick how easy it is to do these things. And let me bring this software back up. And let me go over here to this design. I created this design not too long ago. It was actually one of our custom shapes, and I just sliced it and broke it apart and turned it into an applique. So you can see here, I'm utilizing like just a simple blanket stitch. I did add some fabric into the background just to help you see that it was actually an applique design. And so what I want to do in this design is I actually want to put a name that's going to lie right here in between these two pieces of applique for the butterfly. So I'm going to grab my text tool. When I click on my text tool, you'll notice that I have regular text, circular text, vertical text, and text on a path. And this one we're going to focus on the text tool. So I'm going to click on the text tool. I'm going to left click on the design. You will notice that it brought the text in. It says my text. With it selected, up here in the properties box, this is where I change the name. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to give this to Walter. So I'll do Scarlett for his daughter here. And I want to change this font to all curled up and hit apply. And you'll notice that it brought that in, Scarlett, all curled up. You'll notice though that the design isn't quite centered. You can see that the center of this butterfly is about right here, and you can see the center of this text is right here. So what I'm going to do is just simply click on my selection tool in the upper left-hand corner. And when I do that, you can see all those editing features go away, and I get this little box right here. I'm just going to click and drag it and make sure that that R doesn't fit down below. And I'm just going to get it in the general area to get it more centered. And so very simply, you can add text. You can change it to a bunch of different styles. I think this one works pretty good for this design. And so it's a pretty simple thing to do. But let's say that you wanted to take it one step further, and let's say that you were going to be you wanted to do this applique design for maybe daughter or granddaughters in gymnastics or something. You want to do something for the team, and you wanted to put a bunch of different names in between these butterflies. It's very, very simple to do in the software, utilizing our name drops function, which many of you probably haven't played with or seen yet. So I wanted to make sure that I showed you that. So if I select this design, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's this green name drops icon. It kind of looks like a green stop sign. If I left click on it, it brings up this little dialog box for name drops. And the really neat thing about this is there's actually a lot of power in this feature. I can have it open the file, all the files once I get done when I hit save, or open just the first one, or not open them. It will save all of them. So the format I'm going to save it in is WAF. You can see here that this is the text Scarlett that's in the design, and the font's all curled up. The size is 25 millimeters, and it's centered. And that's very important that it is centered, because if I had it on left or right, it would change how all the other names come in. So let's say that I want to add a couple other names. So let me click the plus button right here, and you can see it says add name. Let's say that I want to type in Samantha, and I'm doing this in all capital letters. Let me click off of it. So I have Samantha there. I'm going to add another one. Let's see here, Elizabeth. And that'll be good right here. And so once I have these listed, I can click on it, and I can actually hit this preview button, and it will allow me to see what it's going to look like inside of that design. I can go to Elizabeth. So what the software is doing is it's actually creating this same design, and it's going to put a different name in each file. So it'll save 3 different files if I hit save right now, and I can take those 3 files to the machine and stitch one out after the other. The beautiful thing about this is that you don't have to come in and change the name every time. You open it back up, save it, save the one for Scarlett, then change the text to something else, save that file, then bring in and again and change it out with Elizabeth and save it. You just have to create it once, use this name drop tool, and it will automatically create the other files for you. And the other neat thing is this, is that if I select this one right here, all curled up is the font, I can actually change that font to something else. So let's say I wanted to use anniversary font for Samantha, hit preview. So you can see that I can come in and actually change the font for the different names. It's a really, really powerful tool. It's a lot of fun. Make sure that you play with this feature, especially if you do any kind of personalization. I'm not going to save this, but I could, and it would save all 3 files there. But that is the name drop feature, and I think it's really fun and neat. So I wanted to make sure I showed that to you today. Let's see. One other thing that I wanted to show you is just working with the Monogram tool. So when I left click, I hit the Monogram Text tool. When I click on the screen, it brings in 3 letters because that's your basic monogram. So I can change these to anything. I can do D-A-J and hit apply, and you can see it brings that in. The neat thing about the monograms is a lot of them have these decor options. So with the decor options, these are actual decorations that will go around the monogram. And you do have quite a few different monograms here. And some of them will and some of them will not have those decor options with them. It just depends on the font itself. But it is very simple and easy. You can see as I hover over, this one shows some decor options along with it. So does this one. So you do get a preview of the ones that do have decor options to them. Let me go ahead and select this one, hit apply, and I can see that these are actual different options for decor than what the other font had. So doing monograms is very simple and very fun. And let's see here. And lastly, with text, I wanted to show you the import TrueType Text. When you're working with TrueType Text, this is a little bit different than your embroidery fonts. Embroidery fonts are digitized and they're ready to go. TrueType fonts come in as artwork, and it's artwork that you need to convert to stitches. So I'm typing in the word Floriani. If I hit the select button, I get to my fonts. And here's the other part about TrueType fonts is this is actually pulling from your computer. So most of you are familiar with Microsoft Word. So any font that you see inside of Microsoft Word, you'll see inside of here. This is actually fonts that are on your physical computer. They're not associated with the software at all. We're just using the software to access them. So just important to know, because I have some fonts on here that you probably wouldn't have. You'll have some fonts that your friends don't have. It's all based on what's loaded onto your computer. And so I have one picked here, this Futura MD bold. I'm going to hit OK and OK, and it's going to bring that text onto the screen. And some of the things with TrueType Text that you notice right away is that it is filled in with color, but if I come over to the sequence view, you will notice that each letter is separated. They're not connected to each other, and it says artwork next to them. So this is artwork. They're not stitches. You can convert them into stitches. You can convert them into whatever you want. I can select all of them at one time. I can uncheck this fill box, and you will see that it's just some simple outlines. I can select them again, fill them with color. I can select each one individually and apply a different color to them. I can do kind of whatever I want to do with the coloring of them. Just understand that they are not stitches at this point. It's just artwork. Artwork that's ready to be converted to whatever you want to convert it to. So I wanted to show you that. We'll do a little bit more with this in a little bit with TrueType Text, but I wanted to go on with your embellishment tools. So far we've focused on the tools that you use a lot, like selecting things and bringing in designs, saving them, and then we focused on some text. So now with the embellishing, this is where you get into focusing on your decorative items that the software kind of helps you with. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in a new page here. Many of you are familiar with our latest update that we did in June. And in June, we brought a brand new, very exciting feature into the software. It's called Color Play, and it's this logo located right here. Color Play basically allows you to experiment with colors, apply different colors to a design. A lot of us want to be creative, but sometimes we're scared to try different colors in our designs. And this tool is there to help us to kind of get over that fear and experiment a little bit. So I'm going to bring in a design from my library. I'm going to come over to January 2010, and I'm going to click on my designs, and I'm just going to bring in this little bird right here. This bird is one of the free designs that you get with the software. When I click on Color Play, it opens up a window, and you'll notice that there's a 3D icon here too, so I can see it in 3D view if I want. Now, the really neat thing about this is there was so much work that went into this feature and getting it right and getting it to kind of stick with families of color. So if I hit lighten, it's going to lighten the design, but it's going to keep everything pretty consistent in the color families. If I hit darken, it'll darken it up to the point where I can make it almost black. I can go to reset, so I can bring it back to normal. So you've seen lighten and darken, and we also added randomize, and this is really, really fun. Randomize is basically just you're experimenting with colors. Notice here that you have all your colors listed. So these are all the colors in the design. If I hit randomize, you'll notice that they all change. You'll notice the design changes as well. So you can see I can just click here, and it just kind of goes through a bunch of different color options. Let me go off 3D view. It might be easier to see. So you can see the different color options in the design. Now let's say, if I reset it, let's say that I hit randomize, and you know what? I really like the branch here. So let's say that that branch there, let me uncheck this box and hit randomize. Notice that if I want to keep that the same color, if I uncheck the box, you can see that it stays every time, and it only switches the colors of the other objects in the design. So you have a lot of capabilities with this. And I've seen some incredible samples of what people have done with this color play feature and changing colors in the design. And it's something that we're working very hard on. I'm very excited because we have some pretty neat features heading your way pretty soon to enhance this even further. So make sure you play with this a lot. That is the first embellishment tool that I wanted to show you today. The second one has to do with kind of taking a design and modifying it and making more of it. So let's, first thing I'm gonna do is grab a symbol, because symbols are in the software. They're here to kind of help you embellish things. So these are kind of embellishment tools here. And if I select this, you'll notice, let me go ahead and delete that because I want to explain that. In the symbols, you have a drop-down box. You have a bunch of different symbols available to you. You just click on one, left click on your screen, and it brings it right in. Once I select it, let's say that I wanted to decorate a quilt block or an area that's like 8 inches by 8 inches, and I wanted to put it all over the fabric. I could come in here to my fling repeat, select that tool, and it automatically will show you a randomized version that fits within a certain area. This is fitting with a 200 by 200 millimeter, which is actually an 8-inch block size. Neat things about this feature is minimum maximum scale. I can bring down. What that means is it'll make some of them 80% of the size and others 140% of the size. So you'll have some that are larger than the original and smaller than the original. I can make it even smaller, and I can make the largest one even bigger. If I hit apply, you can see that it will change that. And the other neat thing is I can hit apply as many times as I want. Every time I do, it randomizes the pattern. So let's say, ooh, I really like that one right there. It fills it out very nicely. I just go ahead and hit OK, and it comes into the software. And it basically is there to fit in that 8x8 area. And so fling repeat is a lot of fun. Let me go ahead and hit undo, get back to this. The other thing that you can do to embellish a design is use the repeat tool. And the repeat tool is a very powerful tool. And I've used it to actually create stippling for a block, just where it was all run stitches, and I made it as large as what the block was and just repeated the pattern. You can see I'm doing how many I want across. Now I can do how many I want down. So I have 8 across, 8 down. But the really fun thing with this is I can come in here and change the distance, horizontal distance between and vertical distance, and put apply so you can get a little space there. But where it's really fun is I can come down here and now I can choose to flip every other one horizontally and vertically. So I can get them going in a totally different direction. And so you can play with this a lot. You can get a lot of different combinations. It's just a lot of fun to play with. And like I said, it works great on blocks. If you use a run stitch, a simple run stitch design, it can become kind of like your stippling for a block. Let me go ahead and hit cancel. And the other one is our corners repeat. And this one's a lot of fun as well. I'm going to change the distance between each just so you can see that. I'm going to put 10 millimeters so that it spreads them out a little bit. But the really fun thing is when you get into this angling. So let's say I can click and hold and it will scroll around. And let's say that I wanted them kind of more in that position. I could do that. I could bring it back down around. I can get it into whatever angle I want those to be, and it's just mirroring them. So it's a really powerful, lot of fun. Works great with designs like this, especially ones that are angled a little bit. And so I just wanted to show you that really quick. Excuse me. And one of the other fun things of an embellishment tool that we have is one called our Distortion Tool. This is one that you probably haven't seen much done with it, but it really works great with objects that have like a motif fill pattern to them. So I'm going to show you. I have a circle here. I just created it using the artwork tool, and I put a motif pattern in it. And when I select it, you can see that I'm using motif 213 to fill this shape. My distortion tool is located up here in the upper right hand corner. When I click on it, it brings up a little distortion dialog box. And you can see that the style that's chosen right here is zigzag, so you can kind of see it zigzagging a little bit. As I turn these up, you can see that it's actually creating more of a zigzag pattern, and I can change the frequency in which it does the pattern. I can really get in there and distort if I want. I'm going to click on wave now, and let's go in with wave, and let's turn this frequency down. You can see that it's creating this wave pattern throughout it. And I can just play with that a little bit. Twirl will actually take the stitches and twist them a little bit. I really like this. You can change the angle of it, but you can get some really neat effects, especially if you're doing this like in the inside of a flower or something like that. And then we have the pinch, and pinch is unique in that it kind of creates this inner circle, and you can change the scale of that inner circle, or the radius of it, sorry. I can make that smaller, but you can see as I make it bigger, you can see that inner line, and it's kind of making it three-dimensional on the inside, and then it's keeping the outer edge of that line kind of more flat or two-dimensional. So again, I can see this on the inside of flowers would work great, and you can change the scale of it so you can really spread those out and make it look even more three-dimensional if you'd like. And then the last one is spherize. This is the one that I've used a number of times on just circles where I wanted the motif pattern to look like it was more of a ball and three-dimensional. I think it works great. I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK, and you can see what that looks like. Very simple, easy to use, very straightforward. It's a great embellishment tool. It's a great thing to bring life to a design or an object, and so we hope that you play with that one. It's a lot of fun to kind of see what you can create. And I'm going to bring in another symbol here, and this time I'm just going to bring in a snowflake. Let's bring in this snowflake number 2 right here. With this one, what I want to do is show you one of our other tools that we haven't talked much about, which is our templates. And these templates are, a lot of people will say, oh, these work great for neckline designs. And what you have is you have these little templates. So it takes your one design and it puts it in the shape of the template, and it repeats the pattern. So if I go to this one, it will make it more oval. If I go to this one, it'll make it more like a U shape. You have this one that's a little bit more V, and let's see, you have this template right here that'll go back and forth. This could be great for borders, creating your own border around something. You also do have, a couple controls here as well. It's at 100% of the size. I could change that. I could make it larger. It will upsize it. I can change offset, height, and width. It's a lot of fun, the template tool. You can just go in there and play with it, especially if you like to do necklines and stuff like that. It helps to arrange them for you. The other thing that we have that's right next to it is our circle template. And this one is very simple to use. I like to use this one for doing monograms. I like to create a circle, take one design that's simple and create it in a circle and drop a monogram right in the middle of it. It just is really easy to do. You can see I can change the count, how many are going around the circle. And this is set at like a 4-inch size, 100 millimeters. And they have a number of options in here, but I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. You can see that brings it right in the design. So if I wanted to, I could, come in and drop a monogram in there very simply and arrange that. And you can use it for a number of things. I just tend to have used it for monograms quite a bit. So it's another great embellishment tool to make your monograms a little bit more decorative. One other thing that I wanted to show you was our duplicate feature. Sometimes you'll find a design. I'm going to go to my library here. I'm going to go to January 2010 again. A lot of times you find something in a design that you really like, and you want to make multiple versions of it or spread it out through a design. So I want to show you, I'm going to bring in this little snowman right here, this snowman with a bird. I'm going to put in 3D view here. And you can see that this little bird is sitting on top of the snowman's hat. But when I was looking at the design, I was like, oh, it'd be kind of neat to have kind of like a family of birds. And so, you can take this bird. You can see when I select it, because I got it from the library, it comes in all grouped. So I'm going to ungroup it. I can select this bird, but you can see it'd be kind of difficult to select each piece. So I'll come over here to my lasso select like we talked about earlier, and I'm just going to click and draw around it so that I can select that entire bird. Once I have it selected, there's this little tool up at the top called Duplicate. And this is a lot of fun. I'm going to click on this Duplicate button. And what happens is if I left click on the screen, it'll bring in another one of those birds at the exact same size. And I can keep going. So let's say that these were going to be like kind of the kids, and I'm going to bring in another one, but I'm going to click and drag and make it just a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to create another one and make it a little bit bigger than the others. And I'm going to bring it in sideways just to show you that the neat thing about this is when I use this tool is that when I select something, it keeps it like grouped together. So it makes it easy to come back and grab it. So let's say I'm going to stick this bird. This is the mother bird up here. I could come in, I could stick this bird down here on the arm, and I could grab this bird, and let's say that I wanted to put him down on the ground. Very simple, easy to do using the duplicate tool. I could have copied and pasted, but it would have taken more time, and they would have been at the same size. I would have had to resize every single one of them. That duplicate tool just makes it quick and easy to do it. And it allows you to make as many as you want. I'm gonna hit duplicate again. I can make as many as I want here. And it's not until I right mouse click that that tool shuts off. So you can see I can create as many as I want. But once I right mouse click, I go back to my regular selection tool and it will no longer bring them in. So it's a really neat tool. You can really add a lot of things to a design very fast using that feature. It's a great embellishment tool. So really quick, I wanted to show you a couple more things about the software. I know we've been going for a while now, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on some of the editing features of the software. And so I'm going to come in here and bring up a new screen here, and I'm going to come over to my symbols, and I'm going to grab this airplane right here and bring it on the screen. And what I want to do is I want to copy it and paste it. I'm going to drag one over to the side, and then I'm going to copy and paste those two selected. Copy, paste, drag a couple, bring them over here. Let's say I want to kind of balance that out, so let me maybe move these over a little bit more. I'll copy and paste these. Let's say I want to make a little border or trim. I'll bring these back in here, fill them into the middle there. And so I have all these airplanes here. There's a number of things I can do with them. I could come up here to these are some of my edit features of the software. I can rotate to the left, rotate to the right, bring it back to the center. I could select it and I could choose flip it vertically. And I kind of like that. So I'm going to come in here and flip every other one vertically. And so I'm kind of creating this repeated pattern, but the airplanes are going different directions. And so I have these on the screen, but I notice that they're not exactly lined up and they're not exactly centered. So some of the other things I can do in the software is I can select them all, and I can come over to my alignment tools, and I can make sure that I center them vertically. So let's see, let me click on this, and you can see that it brought them both down, so now they're all straight in a line. But I also notice that they're not exactly the same distance apart from each other. And that's what a great tool we have in here of our distribute horizontally. If I click on that and we go back, let me hit undo, you can see that what it does is it spaces them out exactly the same. It's a great feature to have in the software. And the other thing that we have in the software is something that we call slow redraw. And I'm just going to show you, it's right up here, this bar. I'm going to left mouse click and drag. You can see that this order in which it stitches out, it's because of how I copied and pasted them. It's doing the ones on the left, then the ones on the right, and then it's coming back and doing the ones in the center. Well, that's not exactly how I would want to stitch that out. I would want it to go, more left to right. And so we do have some tools that help with this. And the other thing I want to point out is you see all these dotted lines, those represent, this one's going to stop here and it's going to jump all the way over to here. This airplane will start here. You can see all the jumps that take place. So this design is really going all over the place here. So I'm going to select that. We do have this auto sequence button. And what the auto sequence button does is it rearranges the design. So now if you see, everything is kind of going more left to right in the design as opposed to jumping all over, just with a click of a button. makes it so nice, especially if you create your own designs. You can come and use these tools. You don't have to worry about how you arrange the designs ahead of time. It'll help arrange them for you. But at the same time, you can still see there's a lot of these jumps in here. So the next icon over for editing is an optimizing your entry and exit points. And this is an incredible tool. If I click on this one, it rearranges the start and end points of all the designs so that one starts closest to where, or one ends closest to where the next one starts, so that you don't have a long jump in between. It's a very, very nice tool. Now let's say that we wanted to do every other one a different color. So let's say that I was doing this. If I go to my slow redraw, you'll see that it'll do the first one, then the second one. You notice that it's not doing all the colors, the same colors at the same time. Excuse me. So this isn't an actual ideal situation either, because we'd want it to do all these blues first and then come back and do all these bluish greens. We wouldn't want to sit there and switch our thread out every time. That would be a nightmare in running this design out. So I can select it, and we also have this color sort icon up at the top. And if I click on it, you'll notice that I get this little thing that pops up. It says color sort reduced 4 colors. So it's saying that it reduced 4 color changes for you with that button. And now you can see in the sequence view, it's doing all these blues first and all these teals second. So let's go ahead and do a slow redraw so you can see that. So a lot of people don't realize how many powerful editing tools there are in the software and what they can do for you. In the designs that you purchase already, you can bring them in and you can utilize this optimizing entry exit. You can utilize this color sort, and it will help arrange the design so you don't have as many color changes. You don't have as many times you have to change out a color on your machine. And so this is a very, very handy tool here that I think a lot of people don't realize exists in the software, in this color sort and in this optimizing entry and exit points. So I wanted to make sure I showed you those powerful editing tools. Excuse me, I have a little cough going today. These are just some of the things that are available in the software. I didn't really touch today on the creation tool, like creating designs manually yourself. But and part of the reason why I left that to the end is because I knew it'd be difficult to get to that, but also we did a whole webinar recently on creating designs manually, and that is available for you to watch, and it could go into a lot more detail than what I could do in this webinar with the other things that I had to focus on. So I would just recommend that if you want to create your own designs manually, I highly recommend going back and watching that webinar, as it'll give you a lot of insight on how to use the different tools, how to create things from scratch and all that. But today we mostly focused on the tools that you all need to know. And bring up this PDF again, file that I'll make available to you. The tools that everyone will need to use at some point in time, ones that you can focus on. We talked about the personalization tools, and we talked about embellishment tools, things that can help you decorate a design and make it your own and bring some pizzazz to them. And then we talked a little bit about some of the editing. And you'll notice here that I did break it down so you can see personalization tools are listed here. Your embellishment tools that we discussed, which I think I touched on every single one of those. And you have your editing, where you do undo, copy, paste, and color sort, optimizing the sequence of design, which I just showed you, flipping something vertically, rotating it. These are all your editing and manipulation tools. And then I did list in here your creation tools that you would use to manually create designs. So I hope that this webinar at least helps you to understand what's available in the software and what you would use the different tools for, personalizing, embellishing, editing or creating. And hopefully this will serve as a guide for you when you get ready to do a project and you want to make sure that you know where the personalization tools are and what options are there, or if you want to make embellishments to a design, what options are there. So hopefully this will help aid you in some of the projects that you're going to be creating over the next few months. And we hope that you enjoyed this webinar, and hope that you will join us next time, as I think we have another webinar coming up for FTC-U. That one will be coming in September, but we do have, let's see, no, actually in August, the end of August, we do have an MDQ2 webinar coming up on the 4th of August. So that'll be our next webinar in just a couple weeks. So we hope that you will join us for that one as well. And we look forward to seeing you again.